Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about a book that I read over this past weekend, and that was The Flamingo's Smile by Stephen Jay Gould. I actually shot a video about this book yesterday on Monday, and I really didn't like it, so I didn't post it, and that's why there was no video from me yesterday. But the reason I didn't like it was because I loved this book, and I really wanted to do it justice, so we're giving it another shot today. Really, this might be my favorite thing that I've read this year. I was really looking forward to reading it. I found it in my local used bookstore. I got very excited because I've never read Stephen Jay Gould before. I had heard of him. I had looked into him. He seemed awesome and extremely interesting. And when I came across a copy of this, I immediately snatched it up and got excited to read it. And I couldn't help it. It was on the pile for next month. But I couldn't stop myself from reading it, so I read it this past weekend and had a blast with it. Unfortunately, despite how much I really like this edition, and it's put out by my favorite publisher, Norton, it is falling apart on me. It's a first edition. It was printed in 1985, and I hold it on this channel, so you can see my initial reaction to it as well. The text, for some reason, is printed down the spine. I mean, you really have to open the book up in order to be able to read it, and you can see it is just falling apart on me, which is such a shame. I'm probably going to have to get another edition of this, or another copy of it at least, because I don't think this is going to survive a reread, and I definitely want to reread it at some point. So, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that in case you're shopping around for it. It is a weird quirk of the first edition, is that it's printed down the middle, and it might fall apart on you because it's definitely. And I'm gentle on books, but anyway. Regardless, this really does have some of my favorite essays that I've ever read in natural history in it. There's an essay in here, for example, called Adam's Navel that I just thought was incredible. And that's part of that essay is in a portion of the book called Theory and Precision. This book the essays in here are organized by theme. Things that the essays are about, or at least the things that Stephen Jay Gould was thinking about when he was writing them. And so that section, Theory and Precision, just has some incredible essays in it. It's got Adam's Navel in it. It's got The Freezing of Noah in it. It's got False God, Good Science, For Want of a Metaphor. I mean, there's just so many. It's an incredible section of the book. But overall, I mean, the book is just filled with these essays. There's one called Sex and Size, which I loved. Another one called Of Wasps and Wasps, which I thought was incredible. There's just so many great essays in here. I didn't skip a single one of them. And so I wanted to read a section from the prologue just to give you an overview of what Stephen Jay Gould's method is throughout these essays. He writes, throughout most of Europe, the communication of science to a general audience has been viewed as part of humanism, as an honorable intellectual tradition stretching from Galileo, who wrote in Italian to bring science beyond the Latin confines of church and university, to Thomas Henry Huxley, who was as fine a literary stylist as many a great Victorian novelist. In America, this worthy activity has been badly confused with the worst aspects of journalism, and popularization has become synonymous in some quarters with bad, simplistic, trivial, cheapened, and adulterated. I follow one cardinal rule in writing these essays: no compromises. I will make language accessible by defining or eliminating jargon. I will not simplify concepts. And I think he does an incredible job with that. In fact, there's an essay in here on corn, and it's called A Short Way to Corn. That essay went completely over my head. Other than that essay being about corn, I have no idea what that essay was about. So there are times when it's a little bit overwhelming. But overall, it makes for a great reading experience because Stephen Jay Gould takes your time and your attention seriously, whether you know a lot about the subject or the subjects that he's talking about or not. And he really does explain those concepts while not reducing the complexity of them. And I think that's what makes this book so incredible, and I think that's what makes science communication so important. because these things are complicated and they're not black and white. And the world that we live in right now, the world that we used to, the world that other people used to live in before us, every instance and every iteration of science and history is complicated, filled with gray area. There are very few moments when things are objectively good or objectively bad. There are very few moments when things reduce down into very simple categories of yes and no, black and white, and whatnot. And so it is the goal, or I think the responsibility, of the science communicator to not reduce the complexity of their field down to those very sort of lowest common denominator categories. If a subject is complicated and complex, it is important to capture the fact that there is a lot of nuance here. And I think Stephen Jay Gould does that so thoroughly well in this book that that really gets to the heart of why I liked it so much. The fact that he is consistently pushing back on simplistic reductions of the natural world around us, but also the history that we've inherited and can read about. And that leads me to another thing that I wanted to read. This comes from an essay in here called "To Show an Ape." And Stephen Jay Gould writes, I often write about the interaction of theory and fact in these essays because no other theme so well displays the human side of science, the intrusion of mind into nature, and their necessary interpenetration in all creative activity. Science does not follow a one-way path from yielding nature to objective mind. This theme also illustrates why we must abandon as bankrupt the common procedure of judging past scientists by their accuracy according to present knowledge. Some incorrect theories, as grand and generous syntheses of knowledge, pose large and exciting questions and may therefore produce as many new discoveries as notions that we accept today. And that's part of what makes these essays just so incredible, is his literacy with his own field, with his own area of study, and the history of that field. So he is constantly talking about the scientists that preceded him, constantly talking about their work, their perspectives, their the worlds that they lived in, even some of their biography, and then how that influenced the science that they did and the way that they interacted with the evidence that they gathered. And there are times when they are when they do a great job, and there are times when they really falter. But in every single case, you cannot just blindly venerate somebody like Darwin, for example, or you can't just blatantly dismiss somebody as being a crank or being stupid because they had certain ideas that don't really track today. It is a gray area that these scientists fall into, that this history falls into, that the world around us falls into, in terms of the complexity that is inherent in all of these topics. And anybody who can rise to that occasion and talk about it and address it in a way that makes that clear while also not being overwhelming is that tightrope walking balancing act that I appreciate so much. And it's here in spades. And it's what makes this book so special, in my opinion. So The Flamingo Smile definitely gets a recommend from me. I loved it. I can't wait to read more of Stephen Jay Gould. And he already added a bunch of books to my TBR, which is how you know I've read a good book, when I want to read 10 more books that the book that I'm reading has made me excited to read. So I'll definitely be talking about those in upcoming videos, because like it or not, March is coming to an end. Part of me likes that, part of me doesn't like it. But regardless, I think that's it for me today. Stephen Jay Gould, The Flamingo Smile gets a recommend. And that's it. Thank you, BookTube.